Welcome to the Get Published podcast, sponsored by Brodie Consulting Group. To get more information about our coaching, publishing, executive ghostwriting, and podcast production services, go to getpublishedpodcast.com. Hello, I am Paul Brodie, and thank you for joining us for another episode of the Get Published podcast, where we help authors get published with a proven system that works. Today, we're being joined by Matt Ward, author of More, Word of Mouth Referrals, Lifelong Customers, and Raven Fans. Matt, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Paul, for having me. I greatly appreciate it.
All right, you ready to get started?
Let's do it.
All right, my friend. Question number one. What is the one piece of advice that you would give to a first-time author who is currently writing their book?
So I think it's about commitment to the writing process and the fact that you need to definitely not believe that you're the editor. You got to get an editor.
Yeah, it's one of the best investments that you can make. I mean, do not edit that thing yourself. Get someone else to edit it, and make sure you pay someone too. Don't just have a family member do it. Have someone that does this at least as a side hustle to get it out there and to get it done, because editing is one of the best investments that you can make.
Yeah, it is the biggest investment I made in my book,
Yeah.
And as a result of that, I believe it's the best investment I made in my book.
Well, what do you feel is the hardest part about getting published?
So I think the hardest part is really defining what you want to write about and getting started. That was my struggle, and it was just a matter of just putting pen to paper, so to speak, or keys to the keyboard to the digital paper. That was the challenge for me. And once I got started, once I set a commitment to it, then it was a matter of just moving it forward every single day.
Well, let's talk about marketing. So please share a marketing strategy that you have used in your book launch that has worked well.
So my strategies weren't all the best, probably, but my best strategy, I believe, is the LinkedIn strategy, whereby I do these catch-up calls with people and tell them what I'm doing. And I have a reason to do this now because I now have a book. That's something I was doing. And so when I do a catch-up call, I want to know what they're up to, and then they're in turn going to ask me what I'm up to. And, oh, yeah, I just wrote a book. And so for me, that was effective in getting the word out on the book itself.
So essentially, you're reaching out to friends on LinkedIn and going, "Hey, we'd love to catch up real quick. What's a good time to call?" And then you're calling those, "Hey, what's going on? Oh, yeah, what am I doing? Yeah, I just got done with the book. Really got done with the book." So kind of like that type of thing.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, and it's twofold, Paul, because I'm the guy that wrote a book about referrals and relationships, right?
Yep.
So I'm actually digging deeper on the relationship side and telling them about my book.
Well, and I love that process too, because you'll be like, "Hey, I have this book out, and hey, if you know anyone that so you feel this would help, definitely would love to send you my information, and they can check it out."
Yeah, absolutely. They always ask for the link to Amazon afterwards.
Well, and referrals are key. I mean, you specifically done a book about it. I think it's one of the things that most businesses fail to really realize is the power of referrals. And then when you take great care of a client, just go, "Hey, by the way, if you know of anyone else who's, in my industry who wants to write a book, wants to share that story, we would love for you to share information. And if you're willing to do an introduction, we'd really appreciate that." Just a very simple thing that you can ask, not salesy. And it's just a great way to not only increase revenue, but also to have warm introductions, because there's nothing better than having someone else introduce you. It's just, it's just such a great way to potentially close a deal.
Right.
Well, let's talk about your favorite book. So what is your favorite book, and what was the number one thing that you learned from it?
So the game changer for me was Never Eat Alone by Keith Ferrazzi, and it's all about building mutually beneficial relationships without really expecting anything in return,
Yeah.
right? Going deep on those relationships. That changed the game for me, and I talk about it in all my keynotes on a national scale. So I'm forever thankful to Keith Ferrazzi for writing that book.
And for our final question, what is your favorite quote and why?
So my favorite quote is "Give them quality. That's the best form of advertisement." That's by Milton Hershey, and he's somebody I've always looked up to all my life. I went to a private boarding school in Hershey, Pennsylvania that he founded because he couldn't have kids. So when you eat chocolate, you help disadvantaged kids. let me clarify. When you eat chocolate from Hershey's, you help disadvantaged kids.
Nice. Well, Matt, I want to thank you for being a guest on the show. What is the best way for people to find you online?
Yeah, so my website is breakthrough-champion.com, and you can also find me at mattwardspeaks.com.
Well, Matt, thank you once again for being on the show, and I wish you all the best in your off the journey ahead.
Thanks for having me, Paul. I greatly appreciate it.
Thanks again for joining us today. To learn more about how you can be featured in our brand new Get Published business book, go to getpublishedpodcast.com.